Good morning or good afternoon from where I am, everybody, and thank you for joining us again today on the African Reform Movement channel, where we discuss everything African reform with an emphasis on Ghana. My name is Uche, and again, as always, we always have Dr. Nee and Udaka with us. So, welcome, Dr. Nee.
Thank you.
This is the first time of you joining us. Just a few things you might want to know. Dr. Nee has a number of social media platforms.
I thought this might be yours.
If there's anything that you hear on this particular
Yeah.
broadcast, or to follow up with him later on, you can contact him on these platforms there. Don't worry if you don't get a chance to take everything down. This is all linked below on his description box. Dr. Nee's also written a number of books. Weep Not Africa for one, The Fifth Republic, another one, which he's mentioned throughout some of the broadcasts. If you're wondering where to purchase those books, there's his own Book Nook store. Information's at the bottom of your screen now. But as I've said before, don't worry, this is all contained within his description box. So today's topic is From the Crystal Ball, my response to Akufo-Addo's BBC interview. Now, I don't know if those of you who watched it, what your thoughts were, but Dr. Nee watched it and he's going to let us know what he thinks and why. So Dr. Nee, welcome. Thank you for joining us in your busy schedule as per usual. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Uche, and welcome back. I missed you last week. I mean, although Shika did very well, but I missed you because, Anyway, I thank those who have taken off their time to be with us this morning in Ghana. I'm talking about From the Crystal Ball, my response to Nana Akufo-Addo's interview on BBC. Let me say this, that Nana Akufo-Addo is the president of the Republic of Ghana. And as far as I'm concerned, when he goes out to talk, he must talk as representing the people, not his party, not even his government. And whatever he says must be correct and true. And whatever he says to the world, he must think of how his people, who he's supposed to represent, will take it. I did not see any of these in the said interview. It was quite a painful thing for me to watch our president talk like that to the whole wide world. This is the second BBC interview I've watched him. The first one was years ago when they asked him questions about his 3 SHS, about funding. He couldn't answer. He could not answer. And the second time, maybe there'll be other time, but this second time too, it was quite painful, to say the least, watching him talk the way he did. The demeanor, the attitude, and the response, I mark him negative in all 3 areas. Can we start with the first slide? From the Crystal Ball, my response to Nana BBC interview, demeanor, attitude, and response. These are the areas I'll be looking at as we go through the slides. Next slide, please. Tax to GDP and E-Levy. When the guy started, he started by saying that our economy is in terrible shape. Nana would not wait. The president would not wait for this guy to finish his questions so that he takes a deep breath before answering them like a president should do. It's as if he was there to defend himself rather than to speak for his people. And quickly, he jumped in talking all sorts of things. Our tax to GDP ratio is very low in the region. The sub-region is 18, and that of Ghana is 13. First of all, that is not true. Okay. For the whole of Africa, the average tax to GDP ratio is about 16.6. That of Ghana is about 13. Now, in Africa, what I've checked so far, the highest tax to GDP ratio is South Africa, and it's 26.6. I think the next is Namibia, is 20.2 or thereabouts. In West Africa, I don't have that one here. I think the highest I've checked so far is 17.6. And then that is Burkina Faso actually. Then Senegal is 16.6. Then our next door neighbor, Togo, also is 15 point something. And Cote d'Ivoire is about 13, the same as Ghana. Now, Nigeria, the largest economy in Africa, and about half the economy of West Africa, Nigeria tax to GDP is actually 8%. Is 8. So I don't know where Nana got the figure 18 for West Africa from, because the highest I've seen so far is Burkina Faso, which is 17.6. So you see, it's not too good to just go and talk about things that can be checked in 2 minutes. Okay? Ghana is 13.2 or whatever, or 13 thereabouts. Namibia, South Africa, Namibia, and these two countries, which are in the 20s 20s tax to GDP, they don't have E-Levy. So E-Levy is not a solution when your tax to GDP is low. E-Levy is not a solution. Burkina Faso doesn't have E-Levy. Senegal doesn't have E-Levy. Next door, Togo doesn't have E-Levy. So if your tax to GDP is low, you have to look at the structures which have made it so, and just don't impose taxes which have nothing to do with correcting a structural problem. Australia, the tax to GDP is 24%. 16% of tax is collected by federal government and 8% collected by state government. So structure of the collective system is important. And then we also account for South Africa. The 26.6, actually the tax per GDP is higher in South Africa than in Australia. You see, I live in South Africa, and we all get some tax refunds when we deposit our taxes, or when we do our tax clearance, or whatever they call it, tax returns. It's well structured. And I believe the same in Namibia, well structured. What you see here is that South Africa and Namibia, the informal sector is very small. So when the informal sector is very small, almost everyone in the formal sector pays taxes. Probably the informal sector may be 10 or 20% in South Africa, whereas in Ghana, the informal sector is maybe 80 to 90%. So unless and until you're able to rope in the informal sector, your tax to GDP is going to be low. And the same applies to Nigeria. I think probably maybe they are even worse, maybe the informal sector is even worse than ours. And that's why they have probably the lowest GDP, tax per GDP in the world, 8%, Nigeria. And they haven't seen the solution as E-Levy. So when Nana was talking, I said, oh, Nana, what is this? What at all is this? Why are you quoting these figures which are not correct? E-Levy is not a solution to low tax to GDP ratio. Next slide, please. Cedi depreciation. We are the worst currency in Africa. We're the worst currency in the whole world outside Russia. I mean, we are even worse than military ruled Guinea. How did we get here? Because we know that one of the key things in that determines stability of currencies is political stability. When the country is stable politically, everything tends to be stable. That is the conventional wisdom. So if Ghana, which thought itself as the most stable country in Africa or whatever, if it is true, then our currency should be doing better. That alone should make our currency better than Guinea. But here we are. The Sila is doing better than the Cedi. So there must be something more that overrides political stability. Now, the other thing is gold. We are number 6 in the world. Russia has now pinned its ruble to the gold, and the ruble begins immediately appreciate. Let me tell you something. Number one gold producer in the world is China. Number two is Australia. Number three is Russia. Number four is America. Number five is which country? Canada. And Ghana is number six. Now, look at these five countries. They are all big advanced countries. They are all actually continents. They are the size of continents. The normal small country that is close to them, number one is Ghana. So we are not just number one for Africa, we are number one for the whole third world. And we are number one for all small countries in the world. And we expect that if you have this backup, and you are doing just the very minimum, your currency shouldn't go where the city is going. But the city is going there because something is happening to our economy which overrides even the potency of gold as the store of value. This is very serious. The largest producer of gold on the continent. Ghana is number 6. There's no other African continent in the top 10. South Africa is in number 12 or whatever. None. We are far ahead of everybody. And if you know, there's something I created called gold density. That is the amount of gold per kilometer square radius. Because of the size of Ghana, and the gold it produces, Ghana has the largest amount of gold per kilometer square. Australia is 32 times the size of Ghana, but it produces less than 3 times, less than 3 times the gold we produce. So in actual fact, we have more than 10 times gold per kilometer square radius in Ghana than in Australia. Besides, we've been mining gold in Ghana for the past 500 years. No country has that record in the top 10. No country. There was even no Australia 250 years ago. There was no Canada 250 years ago. We are the oldest gold empire, and we have the largest amount of gold per kilometer square in the world. And look at what our currency is doing. Because the negatives of economic mismanagement, the negatives have overridden the positive of political stability and gold reserves. So can we blame COVID or can we blame Ukraine? Of course not. Of course not. The 55 African countries, Ghana was one of the only countries that was affected by COVID. So COVID is a common factor, and that cannot be used by Ghana government to explain the depreciation of the cedi. Can we blame Ukraine? No, because before the budget was ready in November, Goldman Sachs put up an article which says that Ghana was the riskiest junk-rated economy that no investor wants to know about. And then they went to, at the end of the article, they said that this year, 2022, Ghana is going to have the widest budget deficit of any junk-rated economy. Now, I wrote an article and I said that that was the reason why the government rushed the E-Levy. Because the 7 billion E-Levy expected or projected was going to reduce the budget deficit. E-Levy is for deficit financing. It's not for anything else. Okay? Now, why is the cedi depreciating? The cedi is depreciating because the cedi itself doesn't have any intrinsic value to start with. We are deceiving ourselves that the cedi is now 8 or whatever to the dollar. No. The cedi is 80,000 cedis to the dollar. Akufo did a Kukwanansi acrobatics and took 4 zeros off. Okay? The real value of the cedis is 80,000 cedis to the dollar. Don't deceive yourself. So the cedi is the weakest currency. Weakest. There's no currency with that value in relation to the dollar. What you are seeing is just unraveling of the Kwekwananse game Kufuor played. Our economy fundamentals are weak. Not because of COVID, not because of Ukraine. Okay? We have political stability, or we claim we have political stability. We have gold more than any country in the third world, not only Africa, in the third world. Yet, these are not enough to solve the hemorrhaging city. So something serious is happening. Now, here's the point. I told you guys that this was going to happen to the city anyway, when everybody else said, because I know that the international community was not prepared to give us money anymore. The dollars that we get to come into our system and give some stability to the city, those dollars were not going to come this year. And secondly, because of the false projections in the budget, investors got worried and they started doing what we call withdrawal to safety. They started withdrawing their cities, their dollars. In January, they withdrew $200 million for investment from Ghana. So we're getting less dollars. Now, government still has to finance its budget and pay salaries. And this money, we have a deficit of about 36 billion cedis in our budget. That is even including E-Levy. Without E-Levy, you can add another 7 billion. Okay. Now, what it means is that Ghana will have to print money to do some of these things, pay workers and stuff like that. So you're having less dollars because of withdrawals, and you're having more cedis because of printing money. Obviously, the oversupply of cedis and the value will drop. When Akufo-Addo said the city was firming, that is a lie. The city is not firming. What they did, or what they are doing now, in January, they said they're going to pump $150 million onto the market every month to help stabilize the city. But in January alone, $200 million of investment were withdrawn. So there was still a shortfall of 50 million. Obviously, more dollars were leaving the market than government was putting into the market. So the city fell. I believe now they are probably putting more than $200 million of dollars into the market, and that's what giving the fake appearance of stability. It's not firming up. There is nothing I've seen in the economy that will let the city firm up. Okay, so Nana was actually misleading people. They are pumping money. Do you know where the money is coming from? From our reserves. At the beginning of the year, we have $9.3 billion in area, which was equivalent for 8 months of imports, according to IMF. They are taking money from these reserves, maybe $200 or $300 million a month, to stabilize the cities. But the question is, for how long? For how long? Our city is not firming. What you are seeing on the market now is just pure misleading, pumping of dollars from our reserves to keep the city afloat. But for how long? It's going to collapse because the fundamentals are weak. Next slide, please. Inflation and employment. Only the best is good to Africa. Nana was saying that, which country is not suffering? Which country is not suffering? You have this, your wares, this celebrating. Nana, you are not there to give commentary about the British economy. You went there to read commentary about the Ghanaian economy. And if you do not know, I'm surprised because I believe you have High Commission in Australia, you have embassies around the world that should be telling you, that should be briefing you what is happening in the jurisdictions you have sent them. So not everybody is suffering the way you want the world to believe, okay? Not everybody is suffering. In Australia, our inflation is 3.5%. So I rather want to use Australia as an example for Ghana to emulate than Croatia or whatever other country. Okay? Official cash rate, which we call the interest rate, is as I'm talking now, the inflation of 3.5 is the lowest in the OECD. UK is 5.5 and America is 7.9. We read our budget on the 29th of March, and the projection is that probably for the year, inflation will average 4.25. Nana, what's the inflation in Ghana? You don't even know. You don't even know. It's just galloping. You buy something today, tomorrow you go and buy the same thing, and the price has changed. That's what they call inflation. Okay? You don't compare yourself that way. Your commentary was on your economy, not about an economy you go and borrow from, even if they are struggling. Okay? Our official cash rate is 0.1%, the lowest in the whole wide world. The lowest in the whole wide world. How did we do it? So now, I will then tell you that if you want an example, come to Australia, contact your High Commissioner here and let him brief you or let her brief you how things are done here. We read our budget on 29th of March. It's a budget of about 600 billion or something like that. It was read in 35 minutes. Everything in 35 minutes. Okay? And unemployment is 4%, the lowest in 44 years. The last time it was 4% was 1978. So please don't talk about COVID and don't talk about Ukraine. Do you know the amount of money we spent in COVID? Do you know the amount of people who have died? Even yesterday, the COVID across the country was more than 20,000 positives. My city, Melbourne, is the most locked down city in the world. But once it was released, most lockdown city in the whole wide world. Now business is bounced back because the fundamentals are strong. Don't use COVID as an example. Okay, there was COVID also in Guinea. There was COVID even in Somalia. There was COVID in Congo, and their currencies are doing better than our currency. Unemployment is 4%. Nana, when you go out to talk, please talk well because you are representing Ghana, not your party, not even your government, definitely not yourself. Okay? Now, what I will always talk about is that only the best is good for Ghana. I will never use the worst example to justify anything in Ghana. I'll use the best example to let Ghana improve. And I'm using Australia here now. We don't even know our inflation in Ghana. I don't even know our interest rate. The interest in Australia is 0.1%, the lowest, almost zero. And in spite of poor returns on investment based on the cash rate, people are still investing in Australia because of stability. Next slide. Cost of living. Now, you are the president of a country that is in distress. When you go and you are talking to the world, you must show respect to your people. Because when they are struggling, and go and tell the world that they are not struggling, they are coping, you are disrespecting them because they are struggling because of your mismanagement. And say, which country is not struggling? Well, I can tell you again, I believe that we must aim at the best and not compare ourselves with the West. Okay? In Australia, the budget was read in March. And for the next 6 months, the government is pumping 8.6 billion back into the system for people to alleviate their struggling. Now, this is a country where the minimum pay for 38 hours is $770 or $772 a week. $772 a week. They are paying the same. They are paying the same for petrol as Ghana, where then maybe the minimum wages maybe don't know, maybe $30 a week. I don't know. Yet government has found it necessary to make life easier for these people. And what have they done? The fuel excise, which is 44 cents per liter, they have cut it by 22 cents, which is 50%. They've cut 50% off for the next 6 months, and that is a loss of $3 billion to the government coffers. Government is giving it back to people. So when you go to the filling station now, you pay 22 cents less than you used to pay before the budget was read on the 29th of March. Government is losing this money, is giving this money back to people because of rising cost of living. That is what you should go and tell the world, what you have done to alleviate the suffering of Ghanaians. And you don't go and sit there as if you are defending anything, because the truth is known. Now, for all older Australians who are more than 65 years, everybody is getting $250 free. No means testing. Free. Everybody. 250 million. And then, because we believe that the older generation needs some safety network. They are retirees. They need something to cushion them against the fluctuations and the uncertainty in the world at this point in time. And tax refund for low and medium income, those who earn less than $126,000 a year. Do you know how much that is in cities? 126,000 is considered middle income. Multiply that by almost 6 cedis to the dollar, to the Australian dollar. These people, even government feels that they need help. $126,000 a year. Multiply by 6 or so to the Australian dollar. I don't know how much that is. That's more than 720,000 Ghana cedis a year. They need a bit of space, breathing space. So government is, before this time, those who submit their tax returns, even if they don't have anything to claim, government gives them, I think, 1,020. 1st of July, government gives it to them in this group, 1,020. Even if you don't have anything to claim, just take it back. They've increased that to 1,005. That is, they've added additional $480 to what they've been collecting already. When you add these three things, it's a total of $8.6 billion that the government is throwing back or putting back into the pocket of citizens to cushion them against the effect of rising cost of living and whatever is going in the world. This is what somebody and that one country is doing. This is what my one country is doing. My other country is decided that he is going to go into the pocket, into the electronic pocket, into the electronic wallet, into the electronic purse of citizens and take money from them as E-Levy. What are we talking about? I have two countries, Ghana and Australia. One of them is giving $8.6 billion back into the pockets of its citizens. Another one aimed to take 7 billion cedis from the pocket of its people. And when I call them pickpocket, people say I'm insulting people. But I live in these two countries. And I know what is going on. Nana, it's got nothing to do with COVID or with Ukraine. Australia has suffered more COVID deaths, more COVID ICUs, more COVID sicknesses than Ghana. Okay? Yet they are doing so well. The lowest inflation in the OECD, the lowest interest rate in the OECD, and probably the lowest unemployment in the OECD. How did they do that? Please consult your High Commissioner here and let him or her brief you as to how to run an economy. You don't go and talk like that to the rest of the world. Next slide. Where to invest? Nana was asking, the interviewer said, Ghana doesn't like a country that would like to put its money. They said, where are you going to put your money? Tell me, where in Britain? In Britain? Nana. Look, let me tell you something. As we speak now, the inflation in Britain is 5.5. They are projecting it could be 8 at the end of the year or whatever, if things do not change. What's the inflation? And here, there was a British commentator on TV here was saying that the pound is useless because the pound has lost 5.5 value already, just in terms of parity. And you are sitting in Ghana, they are complaining. And I think the pound is 10 cedis to the pound or something already in Ghana. And you are not complaining. I say, where to invest? Well, come and invest in Australia. People will come and invest in Australia because the fundamentals are right. All the things we are talking about, they are right. Look, Nana, let me tell you something. In Australia, our missions, foreign missions, are under two departments: Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Okay, very important. So the two ministries, the government here knows what's going on trade-wise in every country that they are represented. I would advise you to change our foreign affairs into ministry or department, or to be DFAT, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, so that we have a trade machine, full trade machine, so that they will be briefing you, be advising you on your economic and trade practices. What you are doing is not good. Okay. And in my manifesto, which I wrote several years ago, that's the way I was going to reconstruct our foreign missions. And also, I have plans on reorganizing them into a different number. But that's not for today. For today, if you say where to invest, I'll tell you people are investing in Australia. They are coming because the fundamentals are right. Because their parliament will not do everything possible to pass an illegal and unconstitutional levy called E-Levy. They're always looking at us. They will be disgracing ourselves. And you go there, instead of giving assurance, instead of talking like a president who is representing his people, who is feeling for his people, you went there to defend yourself and your government. Next slide, please. Oh, so soon. What would I have said in the interview? Okay, so this is what I would have said. When the guy came in and the guy started talking about our economy being in terrible shape and inflation and unemployment and depreciation of the currency, I'll just let him finish and I say, my brother, you're right on the ball. Look, coming into government, we underestimated certain things. Now we are faced with a major issue that we are resolved to resolve. You mentioned inflation. It's out of control. You mentioned depreciation of Cedi. It's out of control. You mentioned unemployment. It's out of control. We know all this. Now let me tell you something. We have immediate plans, and these are my immediate plans. We have intermediate plans. These are my intermediate plans. And we have long-term plans. These are my long-term plans. Let me tell you something. You don't have to forget. Don't forget this. See, Ghana is the largest producer of gold in Africa. Okay. Now we have a safety net there. We're going to change some structure things about cocoa agreement with people. The more will be coming to us. We're going to do A, B, C, D. Now you have to understand that Ghana produces 25% of total output of cocoa in the world. So we are going to manage differently, and this is what you are going to get. And we made some administrative blunders at the beginning. Okay, we're going to cut the bureaucracy. I'm going to cut the bureaucracy. We've created so many industries. We have so many people in parliament. We have so many regions. Look, there were mistakes I made and I own up to it. You know, as a father of the nation, when I make a big mistake and it's very well, I have to own up to it. I'm going to cut all. And I'm telling you that I'm going to reduce government expenditure by 30%. Once I'm able to do that, and our revenue matches our expenditure, will be out of deficit, and the cedi will regain its strength, because the cedi is weak because we are printing money to pay our obligations. Then I'll go on, because I'll tell the interview what I don't want to happen in Ghana is Sri Lanka. As I sit here, I feel for the spirit of Sri Lanka. I don't want that to happen in Ghana. Now, they are on the verge of overthrowing their democratically elected government. I don't want that in my country. So I'll do the best to help my government and to help my people. You know that in the whole wide world, only Sri Lanka uses more of its revenue to service its tax than Ghana. So what is happening in Sri Lanka can happen in Ghana very soon. Only Sri Lanka uses more of its money, revenue to pay or to service his loans and his debts than Ghana. We are the second. So when I see things happening in Sri Lanka, I know they can mirror in Ghana. And that's why I take your questions very, very seriously. We are working very hard, and I'll plead with my countrymen to relax that by the middle of this year, by the end of this year, they will see great changes. And we all thank God for his grace. Thank you very much. Ciao, Manyaba.
Okay, Dr. Nee, thank you so much for that. Thank you. Thank you for those of you who've joined us. Could you please start to send in your questions? I can't see any questions here at the moment. Whilst we're waiting for some of those to come in, Dr. Nee, you mentioned investing in Australia. Can you give an average Ghanaian watching this a practical way they can do that? Is it something that they should do, or are you talking about the government should do? How will they be able to do that? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I was saying you mentioned in one of your slides that what Ghana should do is invest in Australia.
No.
Sorry.
No, that's not what actually happened. Was that in the interview, I told the Akufo-Addo that the way Ghana is, it's not a place that he will put his money in. He will invest in Ghana. It's not a place that people. And then Akufo-Addo said, where do you think you can put your money? Where in the world can you put your money? No place in the world is good for investment. I'm saying no, that is false. But you can put your money in Australia. People are investing in Australia because the fundamentals are right.
Right.
Nana Akufo-Addo, you have no embassy. You have a high commission here. Please contact your ambassador or your high commissioner to let him or her brief you about how this economy is being run. That's why you have the embassies there. That's why you have the high commissions. They have to advise you how to do the right thing for your people. You don't go and sit in BBC studio and say that there's nowhere in the world people are interested in investing. People moved $200 million of investment from your country in January. They took it somewhere else. They didn't put it in under their pillows.
Okay.
It's a disgrace. And I'm sure people are removing more than $200 million every month since January. Because the speculation is that the economy, your finance minister is saying that the economy is broke. We can't do this without E-Levy. We can't do this without E-Levy. So what are you talking about? Okay. You are saying, the cedi is Femi. It's not Femi. It's the worst performing currency in Africa. It's the worst performing currency, apart from Russia, in the whole world. So what are you talking about?
Okay. We've got one question in so far. It's from Shika. She asks, looking in your crystal ball, what do you see happening by the end of this year in terms of the economy?
Okay. Honestly speaking, I decided to talk from the crystal ball. I changed it a little bit and I said at the end what is happening in Sri Lanka. Let me say it this way. I've said all this before, but let me recap them here. The cedi will fall again because the fundamentals are weak. Okay. The E-Levy will be telling the Supreme Court whether it's passed or not. Government will get maximum a third of what it projected. So our deficit will literally stay where it is. Now, like I've been saying, I don't know how this government will read 2023 budget because every projection in this current budget will not happen. So from a crystal ball, we haven't seen anything yet. Honestly, I wish I was wrong, but the economy is going to collapse. Now, what I don't wish to happen is Sri Lanka. Because as we are speaking now, 26 ministers of the government have resigned. As we speak now, 41 members of parliament of the government have left the government. They've left the coalition. So as we speak now, we have a minority government in Sri Lanka, and the protests are continuing. The protests are continuing that the government, the president and the prime minister are go. Now, mind you, the president and prime minister are brothers. Their youngest brother was the finance minister. He has resigned. So we have three brothers: president, prime minister, finance. Does it sound familiar? Does it sound familiar to you in Ghana? Because we know the president and we know those they call our unofficial prime minister, and we know our finance minister. They are all cousins of the president. So no wonder Ghana is second to Sri Lanka in terms of debt payment and servicing. Now, the crystal ball tells me clearly that as we move towards, it's not going to happen this year. I don't think it's going to happen this year. But it tells me that as we move towards the election next year, when members of parliament of MPP realize that they are going to lose their seats, especially those in marginal seats, those outside Ashanti and some parts of Eastern, when they realize they're going to lose their seat, they may turn against this government because they are going to lose massively if things continue the way they are. So from the crystal ball, we're going to have more pain, more economic pain, unless this president takes the bull by the horn and do the right thing. Now, economic pain brings political instability, and political instability can bring popular uprising. That is the overwhelming evidence across the world. I don't want Sri Lanka and Ghana. I don't want Lebanon 2020. Okay, so in short, this is what I see from the crystal ball, which you call in Ga Kulo. That's the Kulo. That's what I see from the Kulo. All right, beautiful.
Okay, thank you. Kenneth said, isn't it funny how NADA, N-A-A-D-A, and his government find it easy to apportion blame on the current state of the economy on COVID-19 and a recent Russian-Ukraine war, which starts on 24th February 2022?
Yeah, Ken, if it's not serious, we'll be laughing. But this is very, very serious because, in the first place, they're talking to the world,
Mm-hmm.
and the world know that that is BS. So they are worsening their credibility to the international financial markets. They want a strong president who will come, accept responsibility, and ask for time and space to recover. But when you lie, and everybody knows that you are lying, you are making yourself less credible. Nobody gives money to liars. Nobody does that. So that's the reason why the crystal ball tells me that if things do not change 180 degrees, there will be more economic pain in the country because nobody listens to lies.
Sheik has asked here, what do you think the government can do in the short term to prevent this economic collapse? And I just want to add to that, if there isn't anything that can be done, if economic collapse is inevitable, how can the people prepare themselves for that?
Okay, let me answer the first one.
Yeah.
And then I'll come to yours. What we are talking about here is deficit financing. Okay, nobody should get anything wrong. In very simple terms, what we are talking here is deficit financing. And that is the difference between revenue and expenditure. In the immediate short term, government should cut the expenditure by 30%. That's what Mangufu, what's his name? The guy in Tanzania, that's what he did. I think he cut government expenditure straight by 24%. And immediately, revenue matched expenditure. We have gone too far. I understand that this president traveled recently. He used commercial flight from Accra to London. And when he got to London, he jumped into his luxury plane again, $18,000 an hour. At the end of the trip, it cost Ghana $465,000. In the midst of this, almost $500,000 in the midst of this unnecessary expenditure. He doesn't even have to go to London at all. So there are so many things you can do in the immediate short term that can release the pressure on the economy. Cut government expenditure. Be bold, come and say that 60 or whatever, 50 or whatever decisions you have created was a mistake, you roll them back. When I say that the 6 regions you have created was a mistake, you roll them back. Close those bureaucracies. Because they will all collapse anyway. Now, to your question about how would the people prepare themselves, the simple answer is that Ghanaians will tell you they are magicians. They will tell you they are magicians. I don't know how they do it because Uche, this is a country where people earn 1,000 cedis and they spend 3,000 cedis. So they have that inbuilt mechanism. I don't know how they're going to do it. But what's going to happen for sure is that the city is going to collapse again. And until government decides that is going to stop the indexation of duties at the port in dollars, everything will collapse. Because if the city gets to 10 to the dollar, it means they're going to charge, because that's what they do now. They do everything in dollars and they convert it to cedis at the current rate at the ports. Now, the port is an input facility. You know what I'm saying? It's an input facility to production. Things from the port come into, so the cost of things at the port affects cost of total production. This is basic economics 101. When you increase that, you're going to increase the cost of everything on top of the fuel. No sensible government will do that. So the best thing they can do is to fix the cost or the rate to the city at the rate on the 1st of January, 6.3 or whatever, and run the year for that. So at least the things from the port will come with no extra cost to production. Otherwise, there will be a collapse, guaranteed.
Okay. Those are all the questions.
Oh, is that so?
Kenneth, just a thank you for this insightful talk backed by figures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are all the questions.
Nana will have to really listen to people who want Ghana to go forward. Okay. The job is doing, I know I can do it better. Even if you work today, right into the presidency. But he is there. He's the elected president of Ghana. I'm happy to advise him to do the right thing because Ghana is the only country I call myself a native of. I'm not a native of Australia. And all my family, apart from my 2 daughters, my 2 children, are in Ghana. So Ghana burn, I burn. Very important. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. As you can see, I'm actually on call. I don't have a patient. I could be sleeping. I could be doing other things. But I'm here telling you that what your president did in London was a disgrace. It should never happen again. He didn't go there to give commentary about the world or about the economy of Britain or about the economy of America or about the economy of Nigeria. He went there to give commentary about the economy of Ghana, and we are in trouble. Everybody knows that. So you go there and say that these are the plans you have to correct the disaster. You can't say people are suffering in Britain, so people must suffer in Ghana. That's none of your business. And people are not suffering in Britain anyway. They are still sending money to Ghana to help their family in Ghana. They are still sending money to Ghana to help or add to the dollar market in Ghana. The Bank of Ghana apparently, I haven't read it, but apparently has released a statement that nobody should do transaction in dollars in Ghana. The legal tender is Cedi. But the same government is calculating our duties at the port in dollars because they have no confidence in the currency. And when you do this, you fire off speculation. Because as I'm talking to you, those in Ghana who have money, they are buying dollars and keeping their dollars because it's a better store of value than to keep their currencies in Cedi, their money in Cedi. It has no store. The Cedi is not a store of value of anything. So you either buy gold or you buy dollars. Now gold is almost $2,000 per ounce. We hedged our gold in 1999, 11 millions of gold in 1999 for $300 in Ghana. We have major structural problems with our fiscal element. We have major problems with our monetary policy because in Ghana, the monetary policy is actually still controlled by the government that controls fiscal policy. In Australia, every first Tuesday of the month, the Reserve Bank of Australia meets and they come out with their outlook on the economy because they decide monetary policy. They come out with the outlook. I read that every month. I've read that concept for maybe 15 years. Every Tuesday, first Tuesday, what comes out, I read it. And that's when I learned my basic 1x4, 1x4, whatever they call it, economics. But when you read it and you are not a moron, you understand how a modern economy is governed. In Ghana, nobody knows anything about the Bank of Ghana. They don't even meet. They just issue decrees like a military regime. It's a complete joke. And mind you, you reap what you sow. We're not sowing the right stuff, so we're not going to read the right stuff. Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, but that's still, no more questions. Okay, well, Dr. Nee, thank you so much for that. This has been a lot to mull over. For anybody joining us late, thank you for joining us. But do go back and look at the broadcast again and stop and ponder on what Dr. Nee is saying. If there are any questions that you have as a result, please feel free to contact him on his social media platforms. He might not be able to get back to you quickly, but maybe at some point he'll be able to. But we do like to answer questions live on these broadcasts, so just to let you know. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to those of you who posted your questions. Thank you, Dr. Nee, for taking time out of your busy schedule to share this important broadcast with us. Much appreciated, as always. And we will see you again next week, Saturday. Don't forget to let your friends and family, especially if you're Ghanaian, know about this broadcast, know about what Dr. Nee is doing, so that they can also be a part of the conversation. Thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend.
All right. Thank you very much, Uche. Thank you.